When my daughter Sarah looked me straight in the eye and said, "Dad, you need to sell this house and move somewhere smaller," she wasn't asking, she was telling me. Like my 40 years of mortgage payments, my Craftsman tool collection in the garage, my Saturday morning coffee on the back deck I'd built with pressure-treated lumber didn't matter anymore. I'm Gerald Patterson, 64 years old, and I thought I'd heard everything after 35 years as a mechanical engineer at Boeing. But that sentence hit me like a 3-pound dead blow hammer to the gut. Sarah stood in my kitchen, sunlight streaming through the double-hung windows I'd replaced myself 3 years ago with Anderson casements. She had that look she gets when she thinks she's being practical. "It just makes sense, Dad," she continued. "You're alone here. The house is too big. You don't need all the space anymore." I looked at her carefully. "You learn things in 64 years. People tell you what they really want in the spaces between their words. And in those spaces, I heard something that made my blood run cold. This wasn't about my welfare. This was about her mortgage payment on that $485,000 Colonial in Maple Heights. "This is my house," I said quietly, setting down my coffee mug. "The one with World's Greatest Dad that she'd given me 15 years ago. "Of course it is," she replied, but too quickly. "But we're family. We need to think practically about your future." Family. That word used to mean something different to me, back when I was teaching her to use my DeWalt cordless drill to build her senior project display board. Howard, her husband, walked in from the garage. He'd been out there for 20 minutes and I'd watched him through the window. He wasn't admiring my tool collection. He was measuring, taking pictures with his iPhone of my Snap-on tool chest, the one that cost me $3,200 back in 98 cents. "Nice setup you have out there, Jerry," he said, hands stuffed in his khakis. "Must be worth quite a bit. That's a professional-grade Bridgeport mill, isn't it? I'd bought that milling machine at an estate sale 12 years ago, rebuilt the spindle motor myself. It's where I machined custom parts for my 78 Camaro restoration, bored the cylinder, fabricated aluminum brackets for the Edelbrock intake manifold. That garage wasn't just storage, it was 30 years of Saturday mornings and the smell of cutting oil. The kids could really use the stability," Sarah continued. "A house in a good school district. You know how expensive everything is now? Tommy's looking at colleges, and Jessica needs braces." There it was. The kids. My grandchildren were being used as leverage. Same way you'd use a pry bar to move something that doesn't want to budge. "And what exactly are you asking me to do?" I said. Sarah exchanged a look with Howard. Quick, practiced, like they'd rehearsed this conversation. "Just sign something simple," she said. "We'd help you sell the house, find you a nice apartment. Maybe one of those senior communities with activities and shuttle service, senior communities. Like I was already halfway to needing someone to cut my meat for me. You'd handle the sale?" I asked. "We know real estate," Howard jumped in. "I've got my license. We'd make sure you get a fair price. After expenses, of course. Commission, staging costs, repairs after expenses. I've negotiated enough subcontractor bids to know what that means. They'd nickel and dime me down to nothing and call it helping." I didn't answer right away. Instead, I walked over to my Mr. Coffee machine, same one I'd had for 15 years, still brewed a perfect pot, and poured myself a refill. The machine gurgled like it was complaining about something, but it got the job done. Unlike some people's gratitude, I could see Howard through the kitchen window, still eyeing my garage, probably calculating what my Lincoln Electric AC/DC welder would bring at auction, or my Porter cable router table setup, tools I'd collected one paycheck at a time over 3 decades. "I'll think about it," I said. Sarah's smile got tight around the edges. "We don't have a lot of time. Interest rates are changing. The market's shifting." When someone says you don't have time, what they mean is they've already made the decision for you. They're just waiting for you to catch up. They stayed for dinner. I grilled burgers on my Weber kettle, the same one I'd bought when Sarah graduated high school. Howard complimented my cooking too loudly, like he was surprised I could operate a propane regulator. Sarah talked about property taxes and homeowners insurance like I'd already signed the deed transfer. The kids ran around upstairs, slamming doors, claiming bedrooms that weren't theirs to claim. I heard Tommy telling Jessica that the bigger room would be his because he was older, making plans, dividing territory. After they left, I walked through every room slowly. I touched the oak banister I'd sanded by hand and restained with Minwax golden oak. The bathroom tiles I'd laid myself with a wet saw I borrowed from my buddy Lenny Torres. The deck I'd built with 2008 joists on 16-inch centers, every board level and square. I stood in my garage workshop and felt something settle inside me. Not fear, not anger, clarity. If my daughter thought I was some confused old man ready to hand over the keys to everything I'd worked for, she was dead wrong. At 64, I may not move as fast as I used to, but I still know how to think, I still know how to plan, and I was about to show her what 35 years of engineering problem solving looks like when applied to family manipulation. Because when someone tries to take your home, you don't just roll over, you engineer a solution. The next morning I was up at 5:30 a.m., same as always. Habit is a powerful thing when you've spent 35 years punching a time clock. I made coffee in my Mr. Coffee and sat at the kitchen table, looking out at the maple tree I'd planted when Sarah was 12. Now it was tall enough to shade half the yard. The house felt different, not because anything had changed physically, but because I was seeing it through different eyes. To Sarah, this wasn't a home where she'd learned to ride a bike in the driveway. It was 2,400 square feet of equity sitting on a quarter-acre lot in a neighborhood where houses were selling for $340,000. By 10 a.m., they were back. No call, no warning. Just the sound of Howard's Chevy Suburban crunching up my gravel driveway. Sarah walked in carrying a manila folder. Howard had his iPad and a Stanley Fatmax tape measure. We were in the neighborhood, she said, bright as a new penny. You don't bring a contractor's tape measure when you're just in the neighborhood. Howard was already heading toward the garage again. Just wanted to get some rough measurements for the listing, he called over his shoulder. You know, square footage, storage space. The listing, I asked. Well, when you're ready, Sarah said quickly, settling into the chair across from me. We want to be prepared, strike while the iron's hot. I watched Howard through the kitchen window. He wasn't just measuring now, he was opening my Craftsman tool chest drawers, checking inside my Rubbermaid storage bins. The red one where I keep my Stare at Precision measuring tools. The blue one with my collection of Whitworth wrenches from when I worked on British cars. Dad, Sarah said, leaning forward like she was sharing a secret. We need to talk seriously. You can't keep ignoring reality. What reality is that? She folded her hands on the table. You're 64, you live alone in a big house. What happens if you fall down these stairs? What happens if you have a heart attack in that garage and nobody finds you for days? The garage where I'd taught her to change brake pads on her first car, a '92 Honda Civic, where she'd handed me tools while I showed her how a hydraulic floor jack worked, how to torque lug nuts to specification. I'm in good health, I said. Now you are. But we need to plan ahead. Wouldn't it be better to make these decisions while you're still fully capable? Still fully capable. There it was, the setup. Like I was a car with 200,000 miles that might break down any minute. Howard came back in, wiping his hands on one of my shop rags, a clean one I kept for handling precision instruments. You've got some serious equipment out there, Jerry. That Bridgeport mill alone has got to be worth $8,000, and is that a T-Iggs welder? Lincoln Square Wave 200, I said. Bought it new in 2003. Man, you could outfit a whole machine shop with what's in there. He was grinning like he'd found buried treasure. Might want to think about security. All that valuable stuff just sitting out there. I'd never needed to worry about security in my own garage before. Suddenly, I was wondering if I should start. They stayed for 2 hours. Sarah kept talking like arrangements were already confirmed. We could have the house on the market by April. Spring's the best time to sell. You could be settled in your new place by Memorial Day. My new place, like I'd had any say in choosing it. There's a really nice senior community over in Westfield. She continued, maintenance-free living. They have a wood shop where you could still tinker with projects. A wood shop. Like that could replace 30 years of accumulated tools and the muscle memory of knowing exactly where everything belonged. Like some community workshop with dull chisels and wobbly drill presses could substitute for my Delta Unisaw with the Biesemeyer fence system. Howard pulled out his iPad and started showing me photos. Look at these amenities, Jerry. Pool table, fitness center, shuttle service to the mall. I looked at the pictures without comment. Clean, sterile spaces designed by people who'd never worked with their hands. Everything beige and safe and boring. That evening after they left, I did something I hadn't done in years. I got out a composition notebook, the kind engineers used before computers took over everything. I started writing, date, time, what they'd said, what they'd done. Howard measuring my garage, Sarah talking about listings, the comment about being fully capable. Then I went to my workshop and did a complete tool inventory. My Starrett micrometers were in the wrong drawer. Someone had moved the 0.1 inch and mixed it with the larger sizes. My snap-on ratcheting wrenches had been rearranged. Someone had been through my equipment more thoroughly than just admiring it. I checked my Kennedy rolling tool chest, the big red one with 11 drawers that I'd bought piece by piece over 5 years. Everything was still there, but the organization was off. My socket sets weren't in order by size, the deep wells were mixed with the standards. For the first time in 20 years, I locked my garage. The next few days, strange things started happening. Small things that might seem like coincidences if you weren't paying attention. My doctor's office called to confirm an appointment I'd never scheduled. Just a routine wellness check. The receptionist said, "Your daughter arranged it." She's concerned about your memory. My memory was fine. I could still recite the torque specifications for a small block Chevy headbolt pattern. My pharmacist mentioned that someone had called asking about my medications. Family member checking to make sure you're taking everything properly, she said. Wanted to know if you'd been missing doses or seemed confused about dosages. I take 2 prescriptions, blood pressure medication once a day, and a statin twice weekly. I've been taking the same doses for 8 years. Nothing confusing about it. But Sarah was building a file, medical concerns, medication management, the foundation you'd need to declare someone incompetent to handle their own affairs. That's when I called my old friend Leonard Torres. We'd worked together at Boeing for 15 years before he retired to Arizona. Lenny had been through this exact thing with his son Michael 2 years ago. It starts with concern. He told me over beer at Murphy's Tavern. Then it's helpful suggestions. Then it's paperwork you didn't ask for. Before you know it, you're signing your life away because they've convinced everyone, including you, that it's for your own good. What did you do? Lenny took a long pull from his Budweiser lawyer up, document everything, and whatever you do, don't sign anything until you know exactly what you're really signing. That weekend, Sarah brought the kids over. Tommy, 16, and Jessica, 13. They used to love coming to Grandpa's garage, watching me work on the Camaro, learning how to use a socket wrench. Now they ran straight upstairs without even saying hello, like they already owned the place. They love it here, Sarah said, watching them disappear up the staircase I'd refinished with varathane polyurethane. It would be such a shame to sell to strangers. Maybe we could work something out to keep it in the family. What kind of something? Well, we could take over the mortgage payments. You could stay in the guest room downstairs. Everyone wins. Everyone wins except the guy who's been making mortgage payments for 40 years. The guy who replaced the furnace when the heat exchanger cracked, who re-roofed the whole house with architectural shingles when the old ones started curling. I'd need to see the numbers, I said. Her smile got brighter. Of course, Howard's putting together a proposal for my own house, like I was some tenant they were considering for a lease. That night, I called Victor Hayes, the attorney Lenny had recommended. Real estate lawyer who specializes in elder issues and estate planning. His office was downtown in one of those old brick buildings with high ceilings and creaky floors. Mr. Patterson, he said, when I explain the situation, you need to understand something. If they can establish any kind of diminished capacity, they can move fast. Court-appointed conservatorships happen quicker than most people realize. I'm not diminished, I believe you, but belief isn't proof in a courtroom. We need documentation, independent medical evaluation, financial competency assessment, and most importantly, we need to protect your assets before they make any formal moves. How do we do that? Victor leaned back in his leather chair. Irrevocable trust. Once your assets are properly transferred into trust, there's nothing for them to contest. Even if they somehow convinced a court you were incompetent, they couldn't touch the trust assets. How long does that take? 2 weeks if we move fast. We moved fast. The next Monday, Howard showed up alone. That had never happened before. He came through the back door like he had a key, which made me wonder if maybe he did. Morning, Jerry. Thought we could have a man-to-man talk. He sat down at my kitchen table without being invited, spread his legs wide like he was claiming territory. His polo shirt had a real estate company logo on it, Pinnacle Properties. Sarah's worried about you, he said. She thinks you're getting a little forgetful. Missing appointments, getting confused about medications. I haven't missed any appointments. That doctor's visit last week, I never scheduled any doctor's visit. Howard pulled out his phone and scrolled through something. Says here you missed a wellness check on Tuesday. Dr. Miller's office called Sarah when you didn't show up. I stared at him. I never made that appointment. Maybe you forgot, he said, like he was talking to a child. It happens, Jerry. Nothing to be ashamed of. But I hadn't forgotten anything. Someone else had made that appointment. Someone who wanted it on record that I was missing medical visits. Look, Howard continued, we're not trying to take advantage. We're trying to help before things get complicated. Complicated how? He leaned back in his chair, getting comfortable legal stuff. If a doctor determines you're not fully capable of managing your financial affairs, things can move through the courts pretty quickly. Judges prioritize family stability, especially when there are grandchildren involved. There it was, the threat delivered with a smile and a real estate logo. What doctor? I asked. We know someone who specializes in these kinds of evaluations. Very thorough, very reasonable. Dr. Brennan over in Canton. He could see you this week. A specialist they knew. How convenient. Probably the same guy who'd rubber stamp whatever story they were selling. After he left, I sat in my garage for a long time, looking at my tool collection. The Craftsman socket set I'd bought with my first paycheck from Boeing. The snap-on ratchets I'd added one birthday at a time. The Kennedy tool chest that represented 20 years of Christmas bonuses. I thought about the afternoon I'd taught Sarah to change the oil in her Civic. How proud she'd looked when she got the drain plug started by hand without cross-threading it. How she'd wanted to learn everything. How to check tire pressure. How to use a multimeter. How to gap spark plugs with feeler gauges. Now she was trying to inventory it all. Price it. Liquidate it. That afternoon, I drove to Victor's office and signed the paperwork to start the trust. Then I did something else. I stopped by Radio Shack, one of the few still open, and bought a digital voice recorder. Small one about the size of a pack of cigarettes. If they wanted to have conversations about my mental capacity, I was going to make sure I had copies. The medical evaluation Dr. Patricia Miller did was straightforward. 3 hours of tests at her office downtown. Memory assessments, cognitive function, physical coordination. She'd been recommended by Victor, completely independent, no connection to Sarah or Howard. Mr. Patterson, she said afterward, you're sharper than most of my patients who are 20 years younger. Your cognitive function is excellent. Your physical health is better than average for your age group. There's absolutely nothing here that suggests any kind of impairment. Can you put that in writing? Already done. Detailed report for your attorney. The financial assessment was even easier. My accountant, Barbara Anderson, had been doing my taxes for 15 years. She knew every detail of my retirement planning, my investment portfolio, my property values. Jerry's one of the most financially organized clients I have, she told Victor. He's been planning his retirement since he was 30. Maxed out his 401k every year, paid off his mortgage early, diversified his investments. He's got more financial sense than most people half his age. While Victor was setting up the trust paperwork, I did something else. I called a security company and had cameras installed. Small ones, hidden ones. If Sarah and Howard were going to keep letting themselves into my house, I wanted to know what they were doing when I wasn't around. The cameras caught more than I expected. Tuesday afternoon, while I was at my medical evaluation, they let themselves into my house with a key I'd never given them. Sarah went straight to my home office, photographed my financial documents with her phone. Howard went through my medicine cabinet, taking pictures of every prescription bottle. They spent 45 minutes in my garage, not just looking this time, but making detailed inventory. Howard even measured my workbench and photographed the model numbers on my major tools. Sarah opened my tool chest drawers and took pictures of everything inside. But the most interesting part was when Howard found my gun safe. I keep my grandfather's Winchester Model 70 in there, along with some important documents. Somehow, he knew the combination. He opened it, photographed the contents, then closed it again. I had it all on video, breaking and entering. Theft of personal information, invasion of privacy, they had no idea what they'd just handed me. Wednesday morning, the paperwork was ready. The irrevocable trust was established with Victor as backup trustee. My house, my workshop, all my tools, my investment accounts, everything protected. Even if they somehow got a conservatorship order, the assets weren't in my name anymore. They can't touch any of it now, Victor explained, sliding the documents across his oak desk. The trust owns everything. You control the trust. But legally, Gerald Patterson, the individual, doesn't own assets they can claim to manage. Thursday evening, they came back. Sarah, Howard, and a thin man in an expensive suit who looked like he'd never changed his own oil. Mr. Patterson, the stranger said, I'm Attorney Brennan. I understand there's been some family concern about your living situation. No concern on my end, I said. Sarah jumped in, her voice tight. Dad's been acting strangely lately. Forgetting appointments, getting paranoid about perfectly normal family visits. We think he needs professional evaluation. Howard nodded along. We've documented some concerning behaviors, medical appointments he's missed, confusion about his medications. Attorney Brennan pulled out a leather portfolio. I see. And you've documented these concerns thoroughly, Howard said, sliding a thick folder across my kitchen table. Doctor appointments missed, prescription confusion, erratic behavior patterns. I looked at the folder without opening it. Then I walked to my laptop computer and opened the security footage files. Interesting, I said, turning the screen toward them, because I have documentation too. They watched themselves on video. Tuesday afternoon, 2:47 p.m., Sarah photographing my financial documents in my home office. Howard going through my medicine cabinet, taking pictures of every prescription bottle with his phone. This is Tuesday, I said calmly. While I was at my medical appointment, the appointment someone scheduled without my knowledge, Attorney Brennan's expression went neutral, professional. I see. I clicked to the next file. Howard in my garage, measuring my workbench, photographing my tool inventory. Sarah opening my Craftsman tool chest, documenting the contents of every drawer. And here's Howard accessing my gun safe. I continued. Interesting that he knew the combination. The lawyer cleared his throat. Perhaps there's been a misunderstanding. No misunderstanding, I said. I also have this. I pulled out the digital voice recorder and played Howard's conversation from Monday morning. His voice came through clearly. If a doctor determines you're not fully capable of managing your financial affairs, things can move through the courts pretty quickly. Sarah's face went pale. You recorded us? In my own home, I replied. Perfectly legal. I opened another folder. I also have independent medical and financial evaluations. Dr. Patricia Miller spent 3 hours testing my cognitive function. Her conclusion, excellent mental capacity, above average for my age group. Attorney Brennan was studying the medical report. This is very thorough. My accountant Barbara Anderson provided financial competency documentation, 15 years of tax records, investment portfolio management, retirement planning, her assessment, superior financial management skills. Howard was sweating now. This doesn't change anything. You're still living alone in a house that's too big. I smiled for the first time all week. Actually, it changes everything, because as of yesterday, I don't own this house anymore. Dead silence. What do you mean? Sarah's voice cracked. Irrevocable trust. The house, my workshop, my investments, all held in trust. Legally, I don't own assets that anyone can petition to manage. Attorney Brennan was reading the trust documents now. This is very comprehensive. Even if you convinced a court I was incompetent, which you can't with this medical evidence, there would be nothing for a conservator to control. Howard stood up abruptly. You can't just hide assets. I didn't hide anything. I protected everything. There's a difference. Sarah was staring at the security footage, still playing on my laptop screen. How could you do this to us? I protected myself from theft. We're not thieves, she snapped. You photographed my financial documents without permission. You accessed my safe without authorization. You scheduled medical appointments in my name. You told people I was mentally incompetent. I kept my voice steady. What would you call that? Attorney Brennan closed his portfolio. Perhaps this conversation should be postponed. No need, I said. It's over. They left without another word. Sarah slammed my screen door hard enough to rattle the frame. After they were gone, I sat in my garage with a Budweiser, looking at my tool collection. Everything exactly where I'd left it. My snap-on torque wrenches hanging in order, my Starrett micrometers in their wooden case, the Bridgeport mill I'd restored to factory specs. My phone rang an hour later. Sarah, how could you do this to your own family? She demanded. I protected my independence. We need that equity, Dad. Tommy's college tuition, Jessica's orthodontist bills, our mortgage payment, and I needed my home. Seems like we both made our priorities clear. You've destroyed our relationship. No, I said quietly. You did that when you started treating me like I was incompetent. She hung up without saying goodbye. That was 8 months ago. Sarah and I talk occasionally now, careful conversations about the grandkids' school activities and the weather. The subject of my house never comes up. Howard nods when he sees me at family gatherings but doesn't make eye contact. I still live in the same house. Still work in my garage on weekends, rebuilding the transmission in my '78 Camaro. Still drink my morning coffee on the back deck. The difference is, now I know what it's worth, not just in dollars but in dignity. Last month, Tommy came by to borrow my floor jack for his first car, a '95 Honda Prelude. I spent Saturday afternoon teaching him how to change brake pads, same way I taught his mother 25 years ago. Grandpa, he said, torquing the lug nuts to spec. Mom says you got really mad at them. Not mad, I said. Disappointed? About what? They forgot that respect goes both ways, even in families. He nodded like that made sense. At 64, I learned something valuable. Your biggest threat doesn't always come from strangers trying to break in. Sometimes it comes from family members who think they already have the keys. But I also learned that experience counts for something, planning counts for more. And when someone tries to convince you that you're too old to make your own decisions, the best response isn't to argue, it's to prove them wrong. Quietly, methodically, and completely. My house is still mine. My tools are still mine. My choices are still mine. And that's worth more than any family peace built on lies. If your own children ever tell you that you need to give up what you've worked for your whole life, remember this: need is a two-way street. They might need your money, but you need your independence more. Document everything, protect your assets, and never forget, the best defense against people who think you're getting weak is to show them exactly how strong and smart you still are. I'm Gerald Patterson, 64 years old, and I'm still here, still thinking, still planning, still fighting when I need to, and I'm not going anywhere. Sometimes the people who claim to love you the most are the ones willing to sacrifice your dignity for their convenience, and the only way to preserve both your assets and your self-respect is to be smarter, faster, and more prepared than they ever expected you to be. Real family doesn't try to take away your independence when you're vulnerable. They help you keep it, and if someone uses your age as a weapon against you, remember that wisdom and experience are weapons too, and you've had 60+ years to sharpen them.